Hey guys, it's BiggestAGFanEVer here, back again, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make 3 aesthetic/VSCO DIYs for your dolls. So today you're going to learn how to make a hydro flask, a Bath & Body Works candle, and a record for your dolls. So let's go ahead and get started. So in order to make this, you will need clear plastic, scissors, clay or Play-Doh, an unused birthday candle, and a hot glue gun. Start off by cutting a generously sized rectangle out of your clear plastic. The final dimensions have to be 4 inches long by 1 inch wide, but I always like to cut bigger and then trim as I go. It could be any type of clear plastic, it doesn't have to be from a drink container, so just use what you have. I then measured and trimmed it down to be 4 inches long by 1 inch wide, like I said before. So this next part, you're going to want your parents to do it for you because it can get a little bit dangerous. We are going to roll the plastic into a ring and connect the 2 ends together with hot glue. The trick to getting this to work is to make sure that your hot glue gun is not heated up all the way. If it is heated up all the way, the plastic will begin to warp and melt and it will not stick to itself. So you want the hot glue to be at a temperature to when you are pressing the 2 ends together, it is not burning your fingers. If it is at that temperature where it is kind of just slightly warm, it'll work perfectly. So this is what happens to your plastic if you heat up the hot glue gun too much and put it on it. It'll totally warp your plastic and you'll have to start all over. But once when you had the 2 ends glued together successfully, this is how it should look. You're then going to take your clay in the color that you want. I'm using polymer clay, but you can use air dry clay or even Play-Doh, and you're going to roll it out into a thick slab. Then you're going to take your plastic piece and you're going to lightly push into the clay. You don't want to push hard because if you push hard, you risk it getting stuck and having to start over with the clay. Then you're going to take something pointy or sharp and cut away the excess along the indent that you just made. Once when you're done trimming away the excess, you're going to pick it up and lightly put it inside of your plastic piece to see if it fits and if you like the thickness. If you do and you have air dry clay or Play-Doh, you can leave it in there, but since mine is polymer clay, I have to bake it. Then you're going to cut your candle slightly below the wick so that way you can have enough space to stick it inside of your clay. Then you are going to stick your wick into your clay just far enough to where just your wick is sticking out. Once again, if you have air dry clay, you can leave it in there, but since mine is polymer clay and it has to bake, I had to remove it so that way it wouldn't melt. And then I also just made sure, once again, that my clay piece would fit inside of the plastic mold. I then popped it out of the plastic and removed the wick before I baked it in the oven. While you're waiting for your clay to bake or dry, you can make the labels for your candles. I just looked up Bath & Body Works candles online and I printed it up, and now I'm going to cut out the labels. All the printables in this video will be linked in the description box below though, so if you want to use them, you can go ahead. And then I just hot glued the label over the seam with my hot glue that was not fully heated up, as you can see, because I was struggling to spread it over. And then I just pushed the label over the hot glue, making sure that it was fully pressed on to the plastic. Finally, I just pushed my clay piece with the wick back into the candle and it is fully finished. So these are some close-ups of my candles. I made a green apple orchard candle and a blueberry maple pancakes candle. I think they turned out super cute and realistic. So in order to make the record, you're going to need thin cardboard, scissors, a cup with a 3-inch diameter, paintbrushes, a pen, Mod Podge, black paint, and a paint color of your choice. You're going to start off by using your cup to trace 3 circles onto the cardboard, and then you're going to cut out all 3 circles. Once when you have all 3 circles cut out, you're going to glue them to each other with the print side in, so that way you have the brown cardboard side out when you're finished. Then you will use your pen to roughly find the center of the circle. If you have a hole punch, you can punch a hole in the middle. If not, you can use scissors with your parents' help to poke a hole in the middle and then make it bigger with a pen or the end of a paintbrush. This next step is optional, but if you want the grooves in your record, you can use a pen to push down and draw circles all the way around your record. When it is painted over, the grooves will still be showing and it'll look like a real record. Before painting, I sealed the center hole with Mod Podge so that way it would be a little bit easier to paint over it. I then painted both sides of the record and the rim of the record black, but I made sure to leave around the center of the record not painted because we're going to be painting that a different color. Like I said before, I painted the inner part of the record a different color and I chose the color green. Once when the paint was fully dried, I sealed both sides of the record with Mod Podge so that way the paint will never rub off. So now that the record is fully dry, we can make the album cover. This is totally optional, but I decided to do it because I wanted to have something to put the record inside of. So all I did was I printed out Ed Sheeran's Divide album, and after I cut it out, I just covered it in clear packaging tape. I then taped the 3 edges together, leaving the top open so that way the record can easily slide in and out. And there you go! Now you have your finished vinyl record and record cover for your dolls. So in order to make this, you will need 2 sheets of white paper, a hot glue gun, paint brushes, black paint and a paint color of your choice, a glue stick, a regular size Crayola marker, the color doesn't matter, Mod Podge, and then this last one is optional, but I chose a white marker for the Hydro Flask detailing. You could use white paint and a toothpick though. So the basis for making this Hydro Flask is basically just folding, cutting, rolling, and gluing paper. So you're going to start off by folding your sheet of paper in half and then unfolding it, and then folding both sides of the paper into that half so you kind of have 4 little even sections, and then you're going to cut each of those 4 sections out so you are left with 4 strips of paper. So next we are going to take out our Crayola marker and we're just going to wrap the strips of paper around the Crayola marker, gluing down as we go to make sort of like a paper tube. The tip for this is to make the first couple rounds not super tight so that way you can remove it from the Crayola marker, but then making the following rounds tighter so that way it won't leave any gaps in between. You just want to stack the remaining sheets of paper around and keep going until you have all 4 sheets of paper down. Then you can remove it from the marker and push down on both sides so that way they are both even and flat. Next, we're going to go in with our hot glue gun and make a nice big glob of hot glue on a sheet of wax paper. We're going to take our paper tube and push it down into the hot glue before it is fully dried. Then we're going to let it dry there, and once when it is fully dried, it should come up pretty easily from the wax paper. At this point, then you can take off the excess on the outside and it should come up pretty easily and you'll be left with a fully sealed bottom. This next section is going to be kind of difficult to follow, and I actually messed up while I was filming it, so I'm going to try my best to explain it to you right now. You're going to take your second sheet of paper and fold it the exact same way as you did for the base of your Hydro Flask, leaving you with 4 equal sections. You're going to take one of the 4 sections and fold it in half, leaving you with 2 1-inch strips of paper. You're going to take one of the 2 strips and you're going to fold it in half again. This will ultimately leave you with 2 1/2-inch strips of paper once when they are all cut out. That is all you're going to need for the lid of your Hydro Flask. So now we do the same thing as before and we wrap the strip of paper around the base of the Hydro Flask and glue as we go along. This creates a little paper ring that acts as the lid of the Hydro Flask. Once when you have finished with the first strip of paper, you layer the second strip of paper on top of the first to make it more sturdy. Then we are going to use the same hot glue trick as before for the lid so that way we create a full seal. Just remember to not pull it up before it is completely dry or else it'll look a bit messy like this. Now that we have the base and the cap made, it is time to paint what we have made. I decided to paint the base purple and the cap the traditional black color. So next you're going to follow the exact same instructions as you did for making the lid of the hydro flask to make the strap, and then you're going to be left with 2 half-inch strips of paper. Once when you have those 2 half-inch strips of paper, you're going to fold them both in half again, so that way you are left with 2 half-inch strips of paper folded in half. Then you will glue them down, and it will be essentially a folded in half strip of paper that is 1/4 of an inch. You will glue the two 1/4 inches of paper together so that way it is sturdier. Then you will take the lid of your hydro flask and hold one end of the strip of paper down on one side and wrap it over, and then hold the other side down and cut where you think you would like your handle to be. After you paint the strip of paper black, you can glue it down on both sides with your hot glue gun. And then you have your finished lid. This next part is optional, but I chose to draw the Hydro Flask logo on the front of my Hydro Flask. And finally, seal it all with Mod Podge so that way none of the paint rubs off. Just make sure that it is fully dry before you let any of your dolls touch it. So here are my 2 completed Hydro Flasks. I think that they turned out super duper cute, and the blue one actually has a removable lid as well. For the purple one, I opted to glue the lid down so that way the dolls could carry it with their hands. But I think that they turned out super cute and adorable. So those were my 3 aesthetic AG DIYs. If you guys enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a like, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon so you will be notified every single time that I upload. And comment down below anything you want to see in any future DIYs. Don't forget to follow my Instagram as well. It is _BiggestAGFanEVer_ to see behind the scenes of all my latest videos and to tag me in all of your recreations of my DIYs. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!